Hey everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Critical Podcast. I am Jimmy Good, and I am only one of your co-hosts, and with me, as always, is my, and he told me to say this, go-to podcast compadre, Joe Lever.
ESC, how's it going? I'm just kidding.
Oh my gosh.
Hey everyone, how you doing?
Look at that, we're barely out of the gate, and we're already offending people.
I know,
that's just how we do
I
here.
take it.
No,
it was funny, screw it.
No, it's fine. But as
Thanks for
always,
having me on, pal.
Oh, no problem. Well, I mean, you are part of this as much as I am now.
Go-to compadre.
Yeah, compadre. But I also want to thank A1, Yoren Evers, as always, for our beautiful picture here. And I want to thank This Is Daylub for making our intro-outro song, which I do love. It's super, super great, and it's oh man, it's good stuff. Anyway, let's get into it. Again, for those who are new to this whole thing, what we do is basically just talk about movies and TV shows and video games and, you know, even books maybe one day. I don't know. If we find a good book, we could talk about that. But that we love, things that we, you know, that
No one
kind
reads.
No, who reads anymore? But those things that kind of, they penetrate your mind throughout the day. You just can't get, you know, away from them. But for today, we're going to have kind of three big main topics for discussion. First off, the Assassin's Creed trailer just came out for the movie that will be out in, was it November or December, I think? I just saw the trailer for it. I'll have to double check that. But there's that. There's some kind of thoughts about the new Predator costume / tech upgrades that the director has been teasing for the next Predator movie, about what he's going to do to the iconic look of him and to add on to that, not necessarily kind of ruin it. And then the last thing is we're going to do a little segment that we like to call Old versus New, Jurassic Park versus Jurassic World. Neither of those things, like, those movies aren't, like, you know, brand new in any way. Obviously, Jurassic World came out, was that last year now, Joe? Has it already been a year?
Last year in June, my friend.
Yeah, my goodness. And now we're just going to talk about them, and both of us love Jurassic Park a ton, so we're going to kind of compare those two. So if you have a love for those movies, then you're going to be like, oh, cool, you can kind of, you know, see where you line up with that. If you've never seen those movies before, there's plenty of spoilers to come. So if you don't care by this point, Jurassic Park is like 20 years old, though. So if you've missed out on Jurassic Park, Jurassic World we can understand, but it's not that big of a deal. But let's get right into it. Assassin's Creed trailer. Joe.
Dive in head first.
Diving in, just like an assassin jumping off a building, leap of faith style.
See what I did there?
Yeah, that was very good, Joe. I'm very proud of you. I'd clap right now. Well, I'll do a little bit of clap there. There you go.
It's so loud in my ears.
Yeah. What did you think of that trailer, man, from someone who isn't necessarily a huge Assassin's Creed fan?
Let's put it this way. I bought an Xbox One bundle package, and it came with, 2 Assassin's Creed games for free download?
Yeah.
Never downloaded them.
Okay.
I kind of regret that because it does look like a cool game. I just, you know, I have my go-to games, and every once in a while I add a new one and one fades out. I just don't have a lot of time to dedicate towards those, you know, role-playing, long, you know, campaign-style games. But needless to say, you know, looking at this movie trailer, very cool. It really sparks my interest in the game itself. Yeah, it cinematically really, really cool. I like their role choice. Refresh me on the name.
Michael Fassbender is playing the
always
the
on the tip of my tongue. What a cool name too.
Yeah, what a great last name. I love that so much.
Great actor, obviously known from the X-Men series or franchise. Yeah, it looks neat the way they mix in modern day technology, and it's like some sort of computer induced past time travel thing. Mm-hmm. I'll leave it to you to expand on that a little bit, but the way he moves, the fight sequences, the little tidbits that you get to see at least of those look really good. And I also like a movie that's based, or I guess that throws it back to times in history, times in the past. I think that's cool too.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Needless to say, interested. Going over some of the details of it. Like I said, the time travel thing. That's cool. I'm running out of steam here, Jimmy. Help me out.
That's okay. Well, definitely. Well, I know you'd said kind of at the top of this before we even started podcasting here is that you aren't very familiar with the story and stuff of Assassin's Creed, and I'd be very happy to fill you in just a little bit, just a brief history.
Well,
but
my first question for you though is it similar to the game in the fact that he's like, it seems like he was in prison and he got the death sentence, and when he was put down, air quotes that you can't see, he goes to this, I guess, entity, and they throw him back into the past somehow. Is that similar to the game, or is the game just flat out set in the past and you're that guy?
No, so it does have a similarity to that it's not like a caveat that you have to be like on death row and like you're killed and then they take you away. Like I think the main character from the first ones was kind of like abducted from his life, and then they kind of told him about his past. So it's always like there's always typically a present day it's like setting or scenario, and then you have they always go back to the past. So that's why they were doing like a yearly thing, because they could just kind of be like, all right, you're jumping to this ancestor in this time period, and it would always change, you know.
Oh, neat.
Yeah.
Okay, so that explains it for me. It makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. And basically, the kind of at the crux of all of this is there's two warring factions, which are the Assassins, who you see plenty of, obviously, and the Templars. And what you're seeing there, the facility there, is they're known as Abstergo, and they are the Templars of the modern day. And what their kind of goal is to take individuals that have an ancestor that has ties to the Assassins or was an assassin.
Influential.
Exactly. Member. And basically they kind of like quote-unquote train them, but basically they try to get information from their past to learn more about the Assassins and potentially gain these other types of super-powered items that the Assassins and Templars have been fighting over for generations and centuries, really. So, and I think it's pretty neat. I like the premise, and they do a good job in this trailer of like showing you just enough where it's like, okay, I get this is like a sci-fi. I can kind of see that like his character is also in the past as well, playing his own ancestor. So
yeah.
that makes sense to you?
Yeah, and there's definitely some appeal there. I think obviously the movie will probably do pretty well considering the mass interest in the game series. So
yeah, definitely.
I think so too. That.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because the device that they use to transport people back to the memories of their ancestors called the Animus, and in this one, as opposed to the game, where in the game your character lays down typically on like a chair or like a bed, and that's the Animus. This one seems like it might be more interactive. I don't know if it was just like one scene where they show Michael Fassbender's character kind of jumping and leaping around with like a metal like robot arm on his back. I don't know if that's
like he's somehow part of it. Hooked into a technological interface of some sort.
Yeah, that, or it might just be he's learned all those techniques from like that laying down in that Animus bed, which that's probably more so. And then he's in like a training area because we see him like shoot a bow and arrow and stuff. So I'm excited because I think they're going to do a fun job of kind of going to the past and going back to the present day, which which I was going to say was one of the most annoying things in the game, because if you progress so far, typically the present day stuff in the game is really boring. So like when you would be playing, you're like, this is so much fun, I'm having fun, I'm assassinating people, they'd like bring you back to the present day and you're like, no, put me back in. So it was just like this weird like I'm in a video game playing a video game like kind of thing. So but I think it's gonna be kind of interesting. And by the way, that is December 21st here in the States that it's coming out, so right before Christmas. So which is crazy because that's when right around the time I think Star Wars Rogue One launches. So a little bit of competition, kind of, not really. Star Wars is just its own thing. Obviously, it's a phenomenon. But are you excited about this movie, Joe? Or is this trailer selling you? Is this one of those that you want to see in the theater now, or is it something that you're still kind of like, I'm not really sure?
No, I think I'd definitely see this one in the theater. Okay. It looks very eye-catching and pleasing. I think it'd be pretty epic in a theater for sure. So I'd definitely like to see it. Riddle me this: how the heck does he do all these amazing parkour things and these leaps that seem like they're over 30 feet from building to building? And then what happens when he jumps off the edge of a freaking tower face first?
All right, you asked a lot of good questions there, so I'll tell you this: the parkour thing,
he can fly.
You can train, like they train on that, and so you kind of learn how to do all that stuff. It takes time. You can learn how to do that. jumping from 30 feet, which apparently a lot of their stuntmen were doing, was like jumping like 4 or 5 stories up, which is pretty impressive. Obviously, they probably had like landing pads and stuff, and I don't know how you don't break your ankles because in the games,
roll, baby.
Yeah, you tuck and roll, but still, you're like, man, you fall from that height. I don't know how they survived that. And I especially don't know how they survived. It's called the Leap of Faith, which is at the very end of this trailer. It's probably the most iconic thing an assassin can do, is they go up to a very, very, very high place and kind of survey the land to get like a good feel for all the things in it. And then they do that huge leap off, and it's usually into like a bale of hay or something, which it doesn't really explain why they would survive. But it's better than them like just landing on their feet and being like just walking away. You'd be like, that dude just jumped from like, 70, 80 feet up. Like
Witch!
Yeah, exactly.
Burn her!
The most fun ones to do, where they kind of implemented this one where you'd be jumping in the game off into a bale of hay that was in a cart, and so it's like not only did you jump and survive that, but you like timed it perfectly, and like your character like falls perfectly into this moving cart of hay. And you're like floop, and I'm like, oh, that would never happen. But
show off
again. There's a little bit of obviously some suspension of disbelief in there. So, but yeah, the one thing I'm really excited about, and I read about this too, is that they are very dedicated to keeping the fighting of the game, which people a lot of times criticize as being really easy to do, but it's really fun to watch. So it's like a lot of those kind of, they're using those assassin blades, those hidden blades, and kind of disarming the person who's fighting you and using their own weapon against them, which is, I guess, one of our main characters' kind of go-to. His secondary weapon is kind of just like whatever weapon he can get his hands on. And from what I saw from the trailer, it looks like it's very accurate to the fighting style, which I'm excited to see because I've always enjoyed that. I think it's cool. So
yeah, very cool.
It's going to be cool. We'll see how it goes. Plus, this is another thing that's really cool, is that these characters are not necessarily the characters that were in the games that we know previously, which is nice because they're not just rehashing an old story. We don't have to say like, oh, Desmond Miles, who is the main character from the old games, he's not like, we're not following his story because we kind of already know that story. Why would you tell us that again?
Well, that's good, yeah, because the general population of people that are going to see this, or the target audience, they played the games. But
yeah, definitely. And when you kind of contrast to something like Warcraft, where that's coming out with like a story that people know about already, I don't think the masses know about it as much, and we haven't seen it on this grand of a scale. So Warcraft is justified completely in doing this, but with Assassin's Creed, I think if they retreaded that old ground, it'd be like, a lot of us, the fans who are going to see that, are like, we know where this is going. We don't really care to see that again. It's like, I can go and play that.
I have no clue where it's going. I played a little bit of Warcraft when I was a kid. I got bored and quit.
Wait, which one did you play? Did you play the first one or the second one, Joe?
I don't know.
Was it Tides of Darkness? I gotta know these things. That was like one of the first games I ever got into.
Yeah, I think it was that. Yeah.
Oh man, how could you? That hit me at an influential time in my life when I was a bit younger. That game holds a special place in my heart, but that we talk about that another day. But any other thoughts on Assassin's Creed trailer before we wrap up?
It looks like a definite must see. I think they're doing a good job with it, and it's creative, and based on a video game, but it's something new for the film industry that we haven't really seen. A little bit of an original idea, despite that it's based on a video game, but I like that. Something besides your typical, nowadays the big money-making movies are generally superhero movies, right? So
yeah, for sure.
Not that I dislike those, I freaking love them, but
yeah,
I like a little change of pace, something to cleanse the palate. So
yeah, definitely. And this is a point that you made before this, is that you like the song in there.
Yeah. So I will be the first person to stand up and say I really dislike Kanye West. Freaking loser. Anyway,
Kanye, we know you're listening.
I cannot deny that every once in a while the guy's got some good music.
I'm just gonna butt in right now, but my problem with this is just a problem I have with a lot of trailers, and Warcraft again is they've had this too. I don't like hearing a song in a trailer that doesn't fit like with the time. And now obviously there's a present day aspect to this, but usually
I'm
all
sure
the cool
a lot of
parts,
people share that feeling with you.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to hear Kanye talk about like I'm a man of God, but I am God. It's like I'm watching like a guy kill a few people. It's like I don't need to hear, like, give me just like a nice maybe kind of epic orchestra. That's all I really need here. I don't need you kind of like rapping it out and trying to make it cool, like too cool for school. And they did a kind of techno thing for Warcraft, which is really weird because you look at like all this fantasy medieval stuff, and then it's just like you hear this weird like techno kind of beat, and you're like, this doesn't seem right at all. Like,
I'd have to watch that one again to speak to that, but I kind of agree with you. But for me, I felt like the song. I don't care so much about the lyrics, but the actual like the music behind it. I don't want to say instrumentals unless you call a computer an instrument, but yeah, sure, it's an instrument, whatever. The instrumentals behind it, the beat and stuff, it kind of had a cool build up, and I thought it worked. There was a bit of a modern day look in there, sneak peek, so I'm fine with it. I do understand your whole, you'd like a orchestra with a big build up or something like that, something real intense. That would work as well. I mean, in horse apiece, personal preference, whatever. I wouldn't mind either one, but I just thought the song kind of did catch my ear in this one, and I kind of enjoyed it. But I can't disagree with you.
Yeah. Oh, fair enough. Well, that's okay. I just wanted to get that's just like a trailer thing we could go on one day. Maybe we could go and do a podcast one day about our favorite trailers of a certain time, or our least favorite too. That'd be kind of fun to kind of break down some of that stuff. But
I hate trailers.
Hey, anyway. Now we're going to get into our next thing, talking about the Predator and the costume and the tech upgrades and stuff like this. And who's
the Predator? What's a Predator?
What's a Predator?
Like,
Joe.
Are we talking like a lion? I like lions.
We're talking about bears. Oh my. I was going to say I have a quote here, but okay. If you want me to explain what a Predator is. Predator, all you need to know about the Predator is that they are just the best. But they are also a certain breed of alien that has had dealings on Earth in the past in a bunch of other movies. They've had, they had Predator, Predator 2. They did Predators. They did the 2 Alien versus Predator movies. But they've been in a bunch. They're sci-fi monster. And they basically are these kind of very, like, tall, strong creatures that...
Pause for a moment. Oh. Sorry to interrupt.
That's fine.
An iconic sci-fi character.
Iconic for sure. Yeah, I feel like that goes without saying, but you're probably right. I probably should have said that. But they also, besides having all this brute strength and stuff, they're very intelligent and honorable creatures that use a lot of tech and weapons and stuff to hunt their prey. So they've had dealings with humans in the past. There's only been like a few humans ever kind of like outsmart and fight these things because they're that powerful.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yep, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny
Glover. Get to
Glover.
the chopper.
Yeah, and a few others. But it's cool because they have had a lot of fights with the aliens from the movie Alien, the xenomorphs, if you will, in the past. And it's kind of been established now because they've unfortunately done this to Alien or the xenomorphs, is that the xenomorphs come in like big numbers, which makes them a little less scary, and like usually one predator can take out a few xenomorphs. It wasn't like that on the first Alien versus Predator, but in subsequent ones, and now it's kind of more generally understood that they can kind of take on a few potentially, because they're kind of cheap. Predators, I mean, aliens are cheap too, or xenomorphs are cheap, but predators have a lot of cool things. They've got like spears, they have these things they can throw called glaives, they have these little shoulder mounted like little rocket laser things. They have these cool tactical visors that
plasma cannon, shoulder mounted.
Yeah, tactical
3-beam laser sight,
like infrared and like night vision, and they have like camouflage, like basically invisibility. They're also good at setting up traps and stuff. They're really like the best hunters in the galaxy.
Exactly.
Really.
So I mean, their role in the galaxy is as the top of the food chain, the best and the biggest and best hunter there is, and their whole goal in life is trophies, basically, which is their reason for every so many years on the hottest summer on Earth, they come to Earth and they hunt threats, basically. So they always target people with weapons, guns. So that's why in that, I think it was the first Predator, right, with it's not John Glover, is it?
Danny Glover's in the second one.
Danny Glover. The first one was Arnold Schwarzenegger, right?
Yep.
So he shows up in the jungles of Vietnam or something, obviously killing people that are threats because they have weapons, and good trophy, right? Because they're a challenge. They always look for the challenge. And that's also why they go after the xenomorph, because it's seen as like the top trophy, because it's a challenge and they're dangerous and they're menacing, etc. So that's kind of the reason behind that. And I know in one of the Alien vs Predators, their whole thing was they kind of created this, I guess they helped build this civilization and were kind of seen as gods by the indigenous people there. And they basically used them to produce xenomorphs, and every so often they'd come down, they'd hunt the xenomorphs, and they'd get overtaken and whatever, disappear again. But yeah, kind of a cool premise, trophy hunters of the galaxy, basically safari hunters.
Yeah, that was very well
cool.
put, Joe. That was very well put.
And in the main ship, they give a nod to all that all the time, where you see like the head mounts or the skulls on the walls and that sort of thing. They keep specimens now and again.
Yeah, definitely.
Very cool.
It reminds me too, Joe, of one of the biggest aspects kind of the Predators, but on this they have a kind of a wrist mounted device that they use to like call on the ship and do a bunch of stuff. But it also has a bomb that they can set off on there, and it is huge. It like decimates a huge area, and that's kind of like a dishonorable thing for them to do. But in the first Predator, spoiler, but
safety protocol.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. They're like, if I'm going down,
safe.
Yeah, if I'm going down, I'm bringing my prey with me sometimes. So
yeah. Or
cool.
In the case of the xenomorphs, they don't want to risk them getting out into the world and overtaking it, so they, take care of all of them at once, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I have a little quote here from Shane Black, the guy who is doing this. He told us coming soon. He said, "It's not to improve. It's not to improve. It's make it fun, make it different, make it organically different. So what's the extension of what makes sense that's exciting? There's been a lot of changes to Stan's design over the years. These different Predator movies have done different things. Ultimately, it's not about design to me. It's about the story you want to tell. There are people who are always going to agonize over Iron Man, what color his suit is. Maybe his weapon does a new thing. But if the story is not good, I don't give a shit what the color of the suit is. In the Predator, we're doing a lot of upgrades to what you consider to be the traditional Predator technology and look, but hopefully the story is what's going to drag people in, not just the attention to the minutiae." But he is also, by the way, I believe he directed Iron Man 3, which got a lot of mixed results. So it's kind of interesting to think that I will say this, I did like the suits and stuff. They could have been a little less, all of them CGI, but I think moving from that into the Predator is actually not a bad way for him to go, because that way he can focus on potentially just one Predator and what makes that one cool and what he can upgrade and design to make that character even more fascinating than it already is.
True.
What do you think? I don't know, Joe, is there anything that you can think of? It's hard to think of that character and say like, all right, add this or add that or whatever. Oh, which reminds me, I forgot one huge weapon that we totally spaced over, Joe. His cool arm, like wrist blade claws. There's like these two big claws that come out over the top of his fist when he makes a fist, and then he can like run somebody through with it. Mm-hmm. He can like slash people down. That thing is so cool.
Cut through a xenomorph and it just melts into a couple nubs.
Oh my gosh! Well, you shut your mouth. But it's. But man, I don't know. What would you want to see something like for instance, we play a lot of Halo. Would you want to see like a plasma sword? Would that be too weird? Like to cut stuff down with? Like it'd almost be like a lightsaber at that point. But
okay, the only way I justify that is when I think of Predator, I think of like a lot of standard hand-to-hand combat type weaponry, close quarter weaponry, like his arm blades or his spear that he carries. I always associate him with that for some reason, even though I know he has things like the glaive, which is another sharp bladed weapon, which is cool. I don't really put that as like a gun or anything too technologically advanced, but freaking awesome weapon, probably my favorite. The other thing is, the only way I justify him having something so like technologically advanced and crazy is like a plasma sword like that, is the fact that they have the technology. He does have like the shoulder mounted arm cannon. He's got the mask with the infrared vision, the night vision, etc. So it's a plausible attribute that you could give him. However, yeah, I don't know. He's such an iconic character, and I feel like the abilities, the weapons, the suit, the armor that they gave him, I feel like it's hard to really say what you would want to change. I know you and I, before this, we kind of had a briefing where, what are we going to talk about? And I've just been mulling over the idea of what would I change on the Predator, and it is tough. I honestly don't know. I will say things like his mask that he always wears. I prefer the more OG mask, from the earlier Predators with Schwarzenegger and Glover. He, it's smooth looking, kind of standard. But I also enjoy the more ornate looking masks, like from the Alien vs Predator, where you get like the King Predator, or the more hierarchy members of the species. They have the more ornate masks, which I also enjoy. But I don't want them to get too out there, because they're always very grounded and kind of almost handmade looking, which I enjoy. I don't want him to get too over the top with like, oh, he's got a real cool like glass visor like from a Halo helmet or something. I want him to not go too far with that, because I've always enjoyed the classic Predator look. I don't mind if they go a little crazy and give him like some cool armor or arm pads or some sort of suit. That's fine. But I want the Predator to have a monstery feel. I don't want him to be too synthetic. I want him to be very organic looking and brute force and ominous. I feel if they gave him like a full body suit of some sort, it'd be kind of, I don't know, is a Predator in there somewhere?
Yeah, that's true.
So I've been mulling over ideas on, man, what would I give him for weaponry, etc. And plasma sword, I'll hand it to you. That's a cool idea. I just don't
original,
know, man. I just don't know. Yeah, not original, but I mean, it's an idea. It doesn't have to be exactly like the Halo one or anything, but it's an idea. Maybe they do some variation of it, where it's kind of like he's got the hilts or whatever, and it's almost like lightsaber style. Not a round beam or anything, but like some sort of blade just kind of appears, But and I forgot to point out another thing that I always thought was really cool is when he throws those little mines up on the tunnel walls in one of the Alien vs Predators, and the beams intersect in the hallway.
Love that.
And it slices them up. Oh, that's so cool.
He needs to use that more laser tech.
And then the grapple net or whatever, that net that constricts and basically.
Yeah, I was trying to remember that one.
In pieces.
I was like, but he should have like a net thing, and I was like, no, he totally already does have that. Yeah,
which is awesome. Awesome. I love
that was a cool way to mark that like main alien in that first Alien vs Predator. Is like, oh yeah, that's the one that got messed up and has like the acid marks of the net on his skin.
But they melted through it. It can't. Their blood is too acidic.
Yeah. Stupid freaking.
Which all those weapons that he's got, man, they're just iconic and they're perfect. They're just too cool, and they fit his character and who he is and his hunting ability. I just don't know what you would do. I don't know. Right. Do you have any other ideas, Jimmy?
Yeah, I got plenty. Just because I'm an idea man. So what you said before was kind of interesting about the whole, like, you don't want to have him have a whole suit. Because I was thinking about that was, like, one of the biggest flaws or kind of things that he has in some versions of these movies is that, like, he's kind of unprotected, like, on, like, his elbows or something. And it's just, like, his chameleon-type skin with, like, some net over there or, like, his legs and stuff. But I do understand you want to kind of keep that animalistic, like, hunter feel, so maybe not putting him in an entire suit. It really depends on where he's hunting, and I think that would be even cooler is, like, depending on where he goes, like, if he goes to hunt again in, like, the jungle, you want to give him something like that. But if you make him hunt, like, in, like, a northern region in the mountains and stuff, he'd probably try to be, like, cover up all of him and maybe have different looks depending on what region he's hunting in if you go to multiple regions. Another thing I thought of was kind of maybe you take that, they have the spear or whatever. What if you do like maybe like an axe or a sword or something like that? You could just have like, maybe if they do multiple Predators, they could have like ones that you could distinguish a little more easily by the melee weapon of choice that they bring. It might not have anything special about it, but it would just
be mace.
Yeah, oh, that'd be sweet too, man. Like an electric type thing. And the two other things I was thinking, would a pistol be too weird? Like a gunslingy type, like he kind of has one like on his hilt, like or like around his ankle.
The shoulder-mounted cannon has always been usable as like a handheld gun as well.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And you see the humans use it in that fashion in one of the movies. Generally, and I was trying to think back to the movies, and I should have looked it up and watched some clips, but like in their ship, you see on the wall they have like a display of different weapons and stuff like that. So, there probably is other stuff out there, but I don't know if I want to see him running around with a handheld shotgun or something. I think that'd be a little too humanoid.
Well, like the last thing I was thinking, would you want to go maybe like either more like long range sniper rifle, or would you rather have him go something like a big bow and arrow?
Now, as the second you said long range, I was like, oh my god, an arrow, some sort of bow and arrow,
like a big compound or like one of those special bows like Crisis style. Like he's got this really sick looking alien style, like not xenomorph, but just like really cool looking, like futuristic-y kind of weird metal.
An archer predator.
That'd be sick, I think. And he's just like he can really like tag you from a long way away, but he's like he's still invisible, so he's just kind of like
special arrows.
Yeah, special arrows got to do all those fun like kind of trick. Like you have the explosive ones, the electric ones. If someone's trying to get away in the water, you just zap them, even though I don't know if that's exactly how it would work. But or maybe, Joe, you take that idea that you had with the mines again, and you have an arrow that's got like 4 or 5 of those on there, and he shoots it off into an area, and they all shoot off to a side and then put up a laser field right in front of somebody.
Yeah.
That would be sweet. I think a bow and arrow would be like the perfect fit for him, because like if he's hunting humans again, depending on what he's hunting, we're susceptible to that kind of stuff. So, But yeah, I'm excited to see where they go with that. But I think they really should keep the look, especially like the helmet. Don't do too much with that. I think that kind of, because they don't need to look ornate while they're hunting stuff. They don't need to look, lavish or crazy in any way. They just need to look like, it needs to be economical. It needs to be able to like go in anything.
I mean, I'm guessing what I'm saying is I don't want some sort of big like tinted visor for his eyes. Or,
Or like they add a horn or something.
Stay away from Halo shit. I don't want any Halo helmets on my frickin' Predator. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. And I hope they don't feel like they have to do the same thing that they've been doing with Predator for the longest time, where it's like he has all of his tech and gadgets throughout the entire movie, and then at the very end he kind of does what the superhero films do, and they like take off the mask and he just has to fight up close. Like I would rather have that be in the middle of the film and just have him use a very cool weapon at the very end, be like, oh, like I didn't know he had that, So I always think that's like the big reveal is like show off his creepy face, and I'm like, I already know what it looks like. Like don't it doesn't really bother me anymore. So yeah, I'm excited for it, but it is the Predator or the Predator. So
hey, you remember Alien vs Predator Requiem?
Yes, I actually watched that again recently.
Yeah, from what is that? Oh man, I'm trying to think of the town in Colorado.
Oh, it's not Boulder.
No, it's not. It's Crested Butte.
Crested Butte.
I remember there's actually, I don't know if there's a nod to it in the film or if I looked it up, but it was actually parts of it were filmed there. I've actually been there skiing.
Never again, Joe.
Never again.
It. Spoiler alert, they nuke it.
Yeah. But I didn't mind that movie. I like that one better than the one where they uncover the frozen temple in Antarctica.
Oh, really? I thought that one had way more tension, and it wasn't as, like, sci-fi campiness. It was
kind of out there. The one where it's more grounded in, like, a small town, and it just, like, blows up into a pandemic. I thought it was kind of neat.
Yeah, you like the part where that woman...
Intimate.
The woman who was pregnant with, like, triplets or whatever births, like, a bunch of xenomorph babies
from her babies. All right. That was a little effed up. That was gross and kind of freaky, but yeah, well, and then there's that Predator / xenomorph hybrid that's like a new like queen type.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about that.
So that segues us into who's gonna be the prey in this new movie.
I'm guessing humans again, because that's the best one, unless they manufacture a brand new thing for them to kill.
Yeah,
You know?
or maybe it starts off as humans maybe it's similar to that Alien vs Predator with where they're in the Antarctic. If it's something like that, where eventually they have to kind of fight a foe together. Nah,
Maybe,
I don't know. I just want them to kill a bunch of people.
Yeah, exactly. I don't feel bad. Well, that was the thing too, especially about the Alien versus Predator Requiem or whatever. Like, people were dying in kind of funny ways and really quickly. Like, there's this one where there's a xenomorph fighting a predator, and the predator throws his glaive down a hallway, and this girl's like running away from the group. For some odd reason, she just loses it at one point. She's like, I just can't do this anymore, and she starts running away, and she just gets taken out by the thing. And you're just like, she just it's so funny. It's like, oh, she's dead. So
Yep.
yeah. But yeah, well, hopefully it'll be something cool, and if they do make another thing for them to hunt, hopefully it's something interesting and compelling. But right now, I would guess it's gonna be just people. I don't know.
Which I'm
We'll
fine
see.
with.
Yeah,
Going
it'll
back to
still
the
be good.
old school original stuff, and
Yeah, which
they can
I
do
like.
some fun things with that.
Yeah, and even in the movie Predators, which I actually kind of like, where they took a bunch of like kind of dangerous people and put them on like a predator world that was used for just hunting.
Yeah.
I thought that was really interesting, where you have like 7 or 8 bad guys basically, and you're like, I don't care if any of you live, you're all bad people. Like, that's kind of like their like prison, their inmate death row / predator style. I really like that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's that is their own personal game preserve.
What if it was, I don't know anything about this movie, let's speculate just a smidge. What if they didn't do people at all, Joe? What if they just made it a completely from the predator's point of view, and it was like a rite of passage for one of these predators, and they had to hunt some really, really powerful, scary thing down to get to that next level in the
Or
predator.
multiple scary things.
Oh,
the
that would be
bigger
so
and badder
cool.
trophies he brings back, the higher rank he gets.
The only problem with that is they'd have to do like a ton of subtitles, because they wouldn't really be talking in any language we'd know.
Well, they've done a good job in the past of making his actions somewhat clear without speech. However, in the Arnold Schwarzenegger one, where the frickin' thing talks, I wanted to shoot my TV screen.
It just picks up what he learns. It says a few little things here and there. He doesn't. Like,
It was okay. Yeah,
he wasn't like, you're gonna die, you piece of crap.
I overreacted.
That's okay.
What did
I just
he
don't
say?
know.
Did he say something like "F you" or something?
He says like, you're one ugly mother or something like that, because that's what Arnold says to him at one point or something like that.
Something along those
just
lines,
throws it back.
yeah.
But it would be cool to see that. I don't think they'll make a big budget Predator movie and not put humans in it, even though I would kind of actually like that. That'd be kind of neat if they could
I
do a
like
whole
that
movie.
idea though, Jimmy.
Yeah.
If they got creative with it, it could go that direction. I wouldn't mind it.
Yeah, like you were saying with those Alien vs. Predator movies, they do a good job of showing what they want to do. And even that Predator that's really good in the first one, he actually makes that kind of friendship with that one main lady protagonist, and he kind of shows her, he's like, see, check this out. If you take this like alien blood and put it on the alien like head that we like ripped off, it doesn't burn it. So like if you use that as a shield, it'll be good for you. And like, here's a spear and stuff. And I was like, that's so cool. Like, that's well done. And he's just kind of showing it off. It's kind of elementary, but that's the way he would communicate with a friend if he didn't know how to speak to them. So
yeah. So talking about this movie coming out, we haven't really seen anything on it yet. I can't wait. I'm practically salivating.
Yeah, me too.
I'm kind of hoping they don't feature. Well, I'm hoping that the xenomorph is not involved whatsoever. I don't want an AVP at all. I love the xenomorph. Anyone who knows me knows I am an extreme Alien fan. I love it. I think the design and everything is just the coolest thing I've ever seen. And I'm a bit of an artist, and when I was younger, I used to do sketches and kind of draw the xenomorph because I just thought it was the most aesthetically pleasing looking monster ever invented. And I feel it still holds up to that. That being said,
the Predator's better. No, I'm just kidding.
oh, and by the way, Jimmy, a little interesting fact for you, a little tidbit for the folks out there.
Oh, yes.
The artist who is now dead, I forget it. Oh, God, forgive me. I forget his name. I'm going to look it up right now.
H.R. Geiger.
H.R. Geiger. Thank you, my friend.
I had it loaded. I was ready in the barrel.
Encyclopedia of knowledge. Anywho,
well, thank you.
H.R. Geiger, who designed the Alien, amazing artist, he died recently, but he also did the design for Korn, the band. They did Jonathan Davis's mic stand. You know, that iconic silver chrome naked lady alien thing that supports his mic when he does performances. That was designed by H.R. Geiger. There's pictures of them meeting and going over the design, which I thought was pretty cool. Coincidentally, Korn is also pretty much my favorite band, number one all time. And I know, Jimmy, probably same for you.
Yeah, I'm just smirking over here because I'm like, he's telling this information to you guys because I'm all over that. Yeah, I'm like, yep.
Jimmy and I, we share a lot of similar interests. So
we do.
Clearly.
There's a lot of and some fundamental ethical and moral values, but mostly just the interests. Like we know what the mic stand from Korn, who designed it.
Yeah. I thought it was an interesting fact, and it
is
really hit home for me because I enjoy both things. And when I saw that they were related, I was like, yep, it was meant to be. But
I was gonna say, a few things in this world, just a little tangent here. A few things in this world are as good as finding two things that you don't think have anything in common, and you find a through line, and you're like, it just makes you love both things even more, because finding that for you, where you're like, ah, man, I love Alien. You're like, I just happen to like this band, and you're like, there's, you never really thought of them in the same space, but now it's hard to think of them not in the same space after finding that thing that commonality. It's like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Anyway, keep going.
So now, to get back to the artist who created Alien, I already outed that little tidbit fact, but his art is out there, man, like
It's
crazy,
terrifying.
Like if you kind of see his earlier work and how his work relates to the xenomorph, there's like it's freaky. Yeah, a lot of nude type stuff, female type things, and female parts and male parts intermingling, that sort of thing. Look it up on Google sometime for the kids that are over 18.
For sure, and that kind of leads me to my point, which you might know this, Joe. I just found out about it recently, but I didn't realize that the xenomorph was actually, and the facehuggers to an extent, are a metaphor. Did you know they're a metaphor, Joe?
Yeah, I
Okay.
kind of figured that out. Being that I have a little bit of that artistic vision.
Oh, I mean, like, it's actually supposed to be a metaphor for male rape.
Oh.
So, like, because it's like putting a baby inside when you don't want a baby inside.
Well,
Isn't
I
that
didn't
messed up?
realize that was the metaphor, but I kind of figured out that it was kind of a nod to like male and female.
Oh, for sure. That stuff is, yeah. But I heard about that the other day, and I was like, oh, that's actually kind of true. And I was like, I'll never look at the xenomorph the same way again.
I know, but who said it was a metaphor? Or how did
I
that
forget it was
get
the
established?
director or people who were working on the first movie. That's what the intent was going in, I guess. And I was like, whoa, like that makes it even more intense. And to think that was one of the first movies that actually starred a female protagonist, like in like a sci-fi action type thing.
Yeah,
and she
yeah.
did a great job. Sigourney Weaver, hats off to you, lady. You know, you bring it. Oh man, she's great. She's very good. I don't think I could think of a guy or any other woman for that matter who I'd rather have be Ripley, regardless of the gender. Like, I think she's just the perfect person for it. You're great. You're great, Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah, so we got on that topic of the artist H.R. Geiger, and just to refresh my memory, I went and Googled him, and looking at some of the imagery of some of his artwork and stuff, it's out there, man. He had one hell of an imagination, and there are definitely, it's all sexual, but it's like alien sexual, like really
it's
weird.
Very strange. I will recall something. You guys have a little insight to our lives, but Joe and I went to college together, and there was one night in particular where I remember, like, for some odd reason, it was like really late at night, and we just like finished watching movies and stuff, and you had told me to kind of look him up, and we had another friend there, and we were just like, for some odd reason, we were laughing at these pictures. Like, I was joking about how I wanted to take a few of these and maybe like put them on like all over the dorms and stuff, and people just be like, what the heck is this? Like,
Yeah.
it's like, this is for you. I saw this and thought of you. Like, you're like, what? They're terrifying. Like, only go check these pictures out if you genuinely want to be like unsettled, because that's the goal, basically. It's like
Some
real
of it
weird.
almost seems mechanical, but then a lot
for
seems
sure.
organic. But it's actually pretty interesting. It's a little out there, and you have to kind of open your mind a bit. But the guy was talented nonetheless, and every bit of his artwork is in reference to the well, not all of it, but pretty much 95% of it has some sort of little bit of a nod or reference aesthetically to the xenomorph design. I mean, and what he did, I mean, he kind of single-handedly spawned the idea for, one of the greatest monster / alien franchises ever.
Yeah,
So.
that's totally for sure. But yeah, those are. I mean, we got to Alien there too, which we'll get to one day.
Yeah, we need to go on an alien rant sometime, which we kind of did. But getting back to the Predator thing, I don't want the xenomorph involved. I don't want it to be an AVP. Restating that fact. Now, I wouldn't mind if at the end of the movie, if he boarded his ship and Predator dies.
Oh gosh, no! They already did this, Joe.
Okay, but I don't have a storyline set up yet. But if they got creative and somehow involved the xenomorph for the end, and he returned to his home planet or something, and the xenomorphs were overtaking it, oh.
What if, Joe, the xenomorph and the Predator had to team up and take down something else, kind of like the Raptor and the T-Rex in Jurassic World? Segue. Boom.
Nope. As far as I'm concerned, the alien is a mindless killing machine. Well, a smart mindless killing machine. A little bit of an oxymoron there, but the xenomorph kills anything and everything that comes in contact with it. That's
what if they were working together? They kind of did that nod, and then they killed a bunch of things, and at the other end of like a hallway after they killed a bunch of stuff, they both just kind of gave each other just like a real good high five. Like neither of them understood why they wanted to do it, and then they have like a friendship that persists throughout all these movies now, Joe. And it's kind of it's not romantic in any way, but they just can't be friends. And it's like the Queen is like, you can't be friends with this guy, and the Predators are like, you got to kill these guys, and he's like, but why can't we just get along?
Oh, everybody disregard what he just said. It was all.
And then at the very end, all the Predators and all the xenomorphs team up to kill both of them, and the Predator and the xenomorph are back to back, and they both kind of like one tear goes down just for the Predator because the xenomorph doesn't have eyes, and they like back to back, and then he presses the buttons to set off that giant bomb, and they both just turn around and hug each other real quick. No,
and then a little subtitle: "I love you."
Yeah, exactly. And then it just says Finn. I'm coming to Cannes Film Festival with that film, and I'm going to take the top prize. It's a really interesting commentary on the sci-fi movies in general. Like, I'll be like, yeah, sure it is. I just made it for fun. No, I'm kidding. That would be horrible. That'd be really bad. But
yeah.
I love
said it.
The term uneasy alliance, and it wouldn't work with them as much as like something like other monster movies like that. Universal one.
Okay, I understand it from the Predator. The Predator can kind of make those initiate those relationships, whereas a xenomorph to me is more animalistic and not so, not a thinking creature.
Yeah, for sure. It only has one prerogative. It's just basically to expand.
Exactly, reproduce and eat.
Yeah.
Or just reproduce, whatever.
Yeah, mostly just that. I don't know what they even eat. It's very confusing. Anyway, but going on to our little topic here, our little segment, which we're doing pretty well. I'm impressed at how much we got out of those first two things. But old versus new, Jurassic Park versus Jurassic World. Joe, hit me with it. The good, the bad. Which one do you prefer first? And then maybe get into it.
Well, the OG, JP1, baby.
Oh,
1998? 95?
I think, or 93?
93? Yeah. Holy snap.
I think it's 93.
I think you're right. So 19 years old now?
Yeah, they had the 20th anniversary, I think, like 2 years before this last one came out. I think.
Holy crap.
I think it's 93.
I think you're right. I'm pretty sure you're right.
Fact checking as we speak.
Because
Don't
the second
I'm just
one
clicking
came
away
out
over
in
here.
98, I think, and then the third one came out in 2001-ish. So the third one, it was okay, but when I watch it on an HD television, it's like, that's fake.
Yeah. That's how he talks too. By the way, it was 93, and just for a little bit of fun, not that I really care about these, on Metacritic, 68%, on Rotten Tomatoes, 93%. Just saying.
Right on.
Anyway, keep going.
I'd be interested to see how the second and third compare to that. I'm sure they're like way in the dumps.
I'll check them out.
The second one didn't ruin it for me, but it was fun and I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like the first one where it terrified me.
Lost World came up 4 years later in 1997 with a 51% on Rotten Tomatoes.
So, see, not so bad, which I agree.
And JP3 it was out in 2001, like you said, Joe. 42% on Metacritic, 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. I think that's being a little harsh, personally.
Yeah, the second and third one, I mean, they were good in their own rights, but they don't compare to the first one for me. The first one was just original. It involved the dinosaurs that everyone knew about and cared about the most.
Well, that Jurassic Park legitimately made people care about. You know what I mean?
That's true. But growing up as a kid, I know I was obsessed with dinosaurs. And yeah, I guess in most ways I can accredit that to Jurassic Park.
Yeah, well, the T-Rex really got on the scene. I mean, not only is the name really cool, but that was like the main thing of that movie.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the unsung hero too. So when you're like a youngster, you're like 5-6 years old, and you talk about like the coolest dinosaur, it's like the T-Rex is in your top 3 usually, if not number 1.
Yep. A lot of people go Velociraptor because they think it's a cool killing machine. And it's
the problem with the Velociraptor though is that the real Velociraptor is like a tiny, like 2 or 3 foot tall little like egg thief, whereas like the Utah Raptor is a little more representative of like that kind of 6 foot tall like killing machine that we know in the movies.
Very nice distinction.
I just want people to know that.
And this is why Jimmy and I get along so well, people. This is why we podcast together, because he's encyclopedia of knowledge and he's true to the T.
I hope that's right. I think that's right.
You're absolutely right, because if you didn't say it, I was going to say it, because it's more based on the Utah Raptor, and apparently now they're talking about how the Utah Raptor had feathers, and raptors had feathers, etc., etc. Yeah, sure, maybe earlier on they had just scales and developed feathers, maybe whatever. It's all hoopla. Or maybe you're one of those that the dinosaurs never existed, that's made up for film. Whatever.
No, hopefully we don't have those types of people listening, because they probably hate us. But they could have done genetic manipulation on these creatures and just like gave them. I think they even said in the book, or at one point the guy who wrote the book was Michael Crichton or whatever, he said that like I think the Velociraptor is like a sexier name.
Oh yeah, for
to
sure.
go with, because at the time he was writing those, I think they were like figuring out the Utah Raptor stuff. And so it's kind of like, that sounds way better. It's like, we got a couple of Utah Raptors outside. It's like, whoa. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, but when you say Velociraptors, the V and the Veloca, that's just kind of, it's piercing. It's kind of piercing.
It denotes that speed and the predator nature of them.
Exactly.
It's perfect. It's such a great word. It's just, whoa. Oh.
So understandable. I mean, if I was writing a book and at the time I could do it, I would have used that name over Utah Raptor any day. Utah Raptor? Sure. I mean, Utah's a good state, don't get me wrong. Probably good skiing and stuff, but it's not ominous.
The Velociraptors, they're called Utah Raptors, and they've learned how to ski. Like,
oh God. Just when you thought it was safe to hit the hills.
Yes, that's so good, dude. Oh man, I'm sorry. I love crap stuff like that. Well, now we're mixing Jaws in there. I don't know. It's like that scene from Jurassic Park 3 where you see the Velociraptors out on like that open field and they're running really fast. It's like they shoot a scene on like a mountainside, like people are skiing really fast. You look back behind them, there's just like a Velociraptor on skis holding 2 of the poles, just coming really fast. Like, he's skiing so much faster than I ever could.
Freaking 1080s off the quarter pipe. And...
It reminds me of those stupid T-Rex videos that are circling with people who have like those crappy T-Rex costumes and they do a bunch of stuff. Like they do parkour, I
totally want one of those.
Ice skating. Anyway, we're getting off topic, but we're comparing the first Jurassic Park to Jurassic World. So you prefer Jurassic Park over Jurassic World, is what you're saying.
Well,
you're saying that a movie from 1993, Joe, is better than a movie from 2015. Is that what you're saying?
Affirmative.
All right. I completely agree with you. I just wanted to test you. Put the coals to you.
That's a true statement. I believe that the first one overrides all of them.
Oh yeah.
And I'll tell you my main 2 points for this. Number one, I'm trying to think of the word right now.
I was like, does he even have 2 points? He's like, I give myself a number.
Point number 0, 1, and 2. No. Point number 1 is, what's the word? Not practical props, but Jimmy.
You could say practical effects.
Practical effects. There we go. Practical effects. Animatronics. They worked. They were real. They were physically there. It made it so real, and that's why the movie still holds up today when I'm watching it on an HD television. Yeah. Because it's real. It was there. The texture, the moisture, the way it moved. Boom. They hit it on the head.
Yeah,
and for most of them, CG that they did use to assist in the making of the film, they limited it, and they used it only to boast the animatronics and the use of those. They just did it perfectly. And then in the way that they shot it, you don't always see the full body of these dinosaurs all the time. There are your scenes where you do velociraptors in the kitchen, some others, the T-Rex running, the T-Rex, smashing the truck. But they do a lot of good shots where it's only featuring the parts that they could use animatronics. And it just works so perfectly. Like the scene when the kids are in the Explorer and that frickin' animatronic T-Rex comes in through the glass. We've talked about this before, Jimmy, and I think it's amazing. The fact that the rain was affecting the way the animatronic dinosaur was moving. It was malfunctioning a little bit. And the frickin' thing goes in there, and they didn't mean for it to go in so hard and forceful. And it legitimately scared the crap right out of those kids' butts.
That's so... I mean, love that so
much.
Good
thing they were sitting in mud, because otherwise you would have seen brown streaks everywhere.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And that brought that movie to life. There was such a fear factor with that movie that you don't quite get in the others because it was real. The Velociraptor, trying to claw through the fencing in that maintenance tunnel for the blonde lady. Perfect. It was a real freaking animatronic dinosaur. It was just... Spielberg hit the nail on the head.
Yeah, definitely.
And there's been articles and stuff about Spielberg and interviews, and he kind of says, I almost kind of didn't know what I was doing, but it just worked out, and everything aligned perfectly, and I got lucky. Well, well done regardless.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that was your first point. So you like the animatronics, and another
effects,
thing that was a part of it too was that they would even put on these suits and stuff. Like the bottom half of Velociraptors, they just put a person in a suit that was just the legs. So when you see that kind of shot of Tim, the little boy in that movie who's running away from one of the Velociraptors in the kitchen sequence, he's running towards the freezer, the walk-in freezer, and you see it from behind the legs of the Velociraptor that's running forward. That's a dude just in waist-high suit that looks like Velociraptor legs, and shooting it like that is so genius and brilliant. It's we're not going to do a full animatronic Velociraptor running straight at him. We'd do CGI, but for this shot, let's just make it and don't do CGI. Let's just put a dude in a suit and have him run towards it.
It just ups the fear factor for me.
Terrifying.
So when now just to compare that to Jurassic World and why JP1 presides over it, the Velociraptors with frickin' Chris Pratt in the pen. First of all, I get that they're genetically modified, whatever. They created in a damn test tube and all that, but I like how in the first one they're more earthy toned and legitimate looking. It makes them feel more real to me. Whereas when you make them lizard colors, the green and stuff, or the aqua blue, it kind of makes it seem more futuristic and kind of cheesy to me.
Yeah,
even though I think there's studies that they may have had brighter colors and stuff, I like to think of them in the original sense where they more represent modern day lizards or monitor lizards, which are more grays and earthy tones. I prefer that look aesthetically wise. And sometimes I don't really like I don't know, just this. You look at those raptors in the movie, and sure, they look amazing. I mean, the computer generated raptors are just the technology that they put into creating these things. It's amazing. It's hard to pinpoint that they're fake, but there's something about them that just doesn't seem ominous, because my mind is telling me they're not real, because they don't look like they're really there.
Yeah, definitely. And I think a lot of it too is because we see them so much more frequently, and they aren't behind things or anything. They're like out in the open,
full
to view
body,
almost all the time.
Literally, you could pause the movie and just analyze them. And it's too much. It takes away their ominous presence to me, because I'm constantly thinking of a raptor sneaking out of a dark place or in the jungle where you don't see much of them, and it's all fast and
So Joe, riddle me this, as you like to say. How the heck did they get those velociraptors in Jurassic World into those like crates where their heads are contained in like that little cage, but their bodies are like behind a wall?
Well, I'm thinking about it like a cattle, like for cattle, they have these, they basically corral them, and they have to follow the gate into the chute, and the chute actually locks them from behind, and their head goes through a gate that locks them in, and they kind of have no choice. So I can understand that, but I don't see them cooperating so well.
Yeah, exactly. It's like you send it in there. It's like you either trank them or you put meat on the other end so they can kind of go up and sniff at it, and then it's like you lock them in. But these things are so smart. You'd think they would avoid that.
Yeah. They overplayed the raptors in there, and the whole thing where Chris Pratt is riding a motorcycle and they're chasing after this thing, tracking it. I'm like, frickin' jump off a high place, you dumbass. That really seemed too cheesy to me. Now, keep in mind, everybody, this is a critical reviews podcast. We're being critical. I did love the Jurassic World movie. It was a fan smorgasbord. It was like feeding the fans what they wanted, sort of thing. And we want to see the dinosaurs, right? But I like the scare factor. I like the horror of it. So that's where JP1 hit the nail on the head. Jurassic World was definitely a feast for the eyes, don't get me wrong, but it's missing that horror factor for me. Oh, and the pterodactyls. Ugh. They try and mix a little comedy in there, the little one trying to pick up the big person, whatever, stuff like that. I just freaking... Come on, man. Jurassic Park 3 had the freaking pterodons in the big bird cage. Those were freaky. And they did a good job with the one where it's on the catwalk in the fog.
Yes, I love that scene. Come on. Great.
You guys are chumps. When you compare it to that, and Jurassic Park 3 didn't really, it was good. I liked it, but it wasn't top tier JP. So if you guys can't even come up with a cool idea like that, then take a flying jump.
Yeah, for sure. Quick dinosaur clarification. I love you, Joe. I just want to make sure everybody knows this. There are pteranodons and dimorphodons in Jurassic World, and the pteranodons are the ones, those big ones, again, in Jurassic Park 3, the ones that they're in the giant bird cage with.
Yep.
So, just so everybody knows. A lot of people like to call them pterodactyls. A bit different.
Yeah, what did I call them?
Pterodons. I think that might be pterosaurs, or like the kind of the group name. It gets very confusing.
Yeah, seeing the flying reptiles are the ones I was never good at, mainly because I was never that interested in them as opposed to the others.
It's funny because like evolutionary wise, they're probably the most fascinating because you're like, we have birds to dinosaurs, but technically pterosaurs aren't dinosaurs. It's a whole thing, but yeah, go on.
Like I said, people, walking encyclopedia.
Welcome to the Critical Reviews Dinosaur Podcast.
Anyway. I don't know. Do you agree with that statement, Jimmy? I did not like the flying reptiles in Jurassic World as opposed to like Jurassic Park 3.
Yeah, I think you're definitely right. I
thought they were cheesy.
Fun to see. Yeah, it was cool to see dinosaurs attacking on a major scale, but at the same time, that whole sequence feels kind of weird, and then it also kind of leads to kind of a slightly controversial scene where they kill off somebody, but they kill her off in just like the most kind of over the top
they killed
way.
off the hot chick.
The nanny or whatever, the person who's watching over these kids for a little bit. Not even a nanny, she's just like an assistant. But that whole sequence, and I saw like the behind the scenes on that, and that poor woman, she got really messed up. They like dropped her into a tank of water a bunch of times and stuff, and it's this whole really weird over the top sequence. And even though it's like a fun kind of like Jurassic Parkish kill, it seems way over the top as opposed to like just getting taken out by one dinosaur.
I mean, it was cool, don't get me wrong. I mean, the freaking thing comes up and its mouth is open, you see every detail, and she's just being swallowed up into it. I was like,
but it's the same shot they used before, and they used that shot in the trailer twice as well, and it really bothers me.
Yeah, I get that.
Sorry, anyway.
Yeah, that poor woman. What did she do to deserve that? Jeez.
I don't know. It was just like they had to pick one like kind of bad person. Even the main bad guy of that movie, which is like the guy who wants the government thing to go off, he doesn't even die in that extravagant of a way.
How does he die again?
Velociraptor bites his hand and then kills him.
Oh, yeah.
Spoilers.
Which, doesn't that guy play Kingpin?
He does play Kingpin. He's much better as Kingpin than he is in...
Absolutely, he does an excellent job as Kingpin, but
love him as Kingpin.
To be honest, I hate the whole idea of the military's developing these velociraptors to attack,
oh my gosh,
like military technology. Come on, man! If a velociraptor's running into a battle, they're just gonna get plucked off by freaking machine gun fire. Shut up!
No, what they were saying, Joe, is that even though it sounds kind of interesting at first, they say, we can't get a drone or a lot of men down into like these caves in Afghanistan or whatever, but you put one of those guys in there and they're going to take a bunch of people out. And it's like, maybe, but if there's a bunch of guys pointing guns down a hallway at a velociraptor or even a pack of them, they're probably going to get gunned down.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
and who's training them? Is Chris Pratt riding in on a motorcycle next to them? And he's like, forth, like, let's go forth for America, like, or whatever country gets
my
them.
Pets.
Exactly. It's like that seems like a flawed
Not
plan.
to mention, I mean, what does a velociraptor have that motivates it to constantly kill? Eventually, the things, I mean, they kill to eat.
Gonna get bloated. Yeah.
Eventually, the thing's gonna get so fat and bloated and constipated, it's just gonna lay there and moan.
I'm thinking of like they all get wiped out except for one, and then they have to do like this big presidential, like they award it like a Medal of Honor or something, and they're
President
like you have to
Obama,
do this. Yeah, exactly. They're like putting it on service. And it's just sitting there, it's like looking around at everybody. It's like, I think we better get it out of here soon. It's just like, it hasn't eaten in 2 days. I don't know why we didn't feed it.
We should have fed it before it got here.
He's putting the medal on it.
It's the one that survived, and it happened to kill like all these insurgents and eat them all. They have to frickin' forklift it in on a pallet because it's all fat and rolly.
Yeah. It just rolls around there
and moans and
then the last thing you see in this entire huge movie is that it squints its eyes and does like kind of like shifty eyes thing, and you assume that it kills everybody even though it's like fat and bloated, getting this great medal or a Purple Heart or whatever. It's just like
yeah. So needless to say, we got over the whole hump of my first point, which is practical effects versus the CGI. The CGI has its place, obviously, in film, but I like directors that use it to enhance practical effects. And let's face it, they could have done cooler things, like the whole, velociraptor in the pen, but all you see are the foliage move when they lower the cow into the pen. That was cool, man. Scary. You don't even see them, but you know that there is something dangerous and vicious in there. But whatever. On to the second point. I'm already forgetting what the second point was because I'm so distracted by the first one.
Was it cast? Was it setting? Was it like we already did the effects? Was it story? Was it?
Well. Whatever, I forgot what my second point was, mainly because the first one is the major. That is the one that just puts a nail in the coffin on Jurassic World versus JP1. Another point that I would like to point out, you mentioned cast. I understand, okay, they introduced Chris Pratt as the lead role in this one. Sure. I would have preferred somebody a little less, a little lower on the actor totem pole. Somebody a little bit of a no name maybe.
Yeah, for sure.
Somehow I felt like the cast in JP1, they had oh god, names. I'm so bad with names.
Sam Neill,
No,
Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum.
Okay.
I feel like he was maybe the most famous one in that movie, or this is the movie that really skied him to stardom. But
yeah, for sure.
I feel like there's a nice mix of characters, people. You get involved with them, but it's not centered on them.
In Jurassic Park or Jurassic World?
In Jurassic Park. I just feel like there was a good balance of, okay, there's these people. I care about them all somewhat equally. I liked how it was focused on the two kids you kind of care about. But I feel like they make a big to-do about, Chris Pratt and his, redhead love interest.
Running around in high heels.
They really boast him up as a badass and all this, and I feel like it was overplayed a little bit. Him on the motorcycle and him busting into the Velociraptor pen to save that guy. Like, come on, man. Whatever. I kind of got over that pretty quickly. However, I do feel like he did a good job, played the role well, fit it appropriately. But yeah, there was a good balance with the first one as opposed to Jurassic World. And how the hell does that redheaded lady run around the whole time in heels?
I don't know. She takes them off, I think, once in a while, but it's still confusing to me.
I know that question has been asked directly to her, and I gotta look up what her response was.
Yeah.
But favorite scene out of Jurassic World, Jimmy? I don't know about you, but my favorite scene is when she opens that gate to the T-Rex paddock. Holy man, when she opens that, you just kind of see the eyes glowing, and then she lights that flare, and it comes out at her.
Yeah.
That was just like a fanboy moment. Like, here you go, everybody smile and laugh and feel good. But
yeah,
I loved it. I'm sorry. I was like, yep, it's the OG, baby. He's coming.
Yeah, it's just so sad to see it all CGI. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they did that back at Jurassic Park 1 where it was CGI from time to time. But, even at the very end sequence where it does that cool roar and stuff. But it didn't feel very real to me. It just felt off.
Well,
but I know.
Sometimes with the bigger animals, they can make it work a little better. But I would have liked to have seen, they have almost a full body animatronic of the T-Rex. I don't know where it is now. Maybe it's at Universal as part of one of their theme park rides. But I would like to see that used in some aspects, like when it's feeding and those people are in that glass tube to view it.
Oh, yeah.
They could have used it there, man. I mean, come on.
Yeah, they definitely could have. I don't know why they didn't. I think it was just like, this is the times, man. You just got to do CGI.
Or, when she opens the pen, if it kind of rears its head out of the darkness and then goes back in, and then all of a sudden you see it emerge, that would have been cool, too. It would have been nice if they could have mixed some practical effects in there. And see, I'm back on the practical effects part again. That's why it's number one.
What if they would have done that, and this would have been maybe a little bit too kind of crazy, but she would have been standing there and they would have done like a shot, kind of a shot of her in front of the paddock where it was just like, it was her on the left side of the screen looking towards the paddock or like the open door, and it was just like her looking at basically a wall from our perspective, and like she's holding the torch, and then like the snout of it came out like really slowly towards her, because it hasn't seen one of those flares in many years, and it kind of moved out, and then they used the animatronic for that, and then she just started to book it, like towards the screen, kind of. That would have been kind of cool.
So
shot.
I will say this, that would have been cool. That's a good idea. I totally agree. And this is why you and I should be directors. Anyway,
got to get to it.
When they make it clear that T-Rex is the one from the first movie that takes out the Velociraptors and stuff and roars with the banner falling, that for me was like a big, okay, you did your part in recognizing the history of JP.
Yeah, well, do they even specifically say it? Just you see the scratches and claw marks and scars from the
I mean, you can kind of figure it out.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the OG king of the jungle, baby. Comes out and roars. I was fine with the ending. I like seeing the T-Rex get his day, He's the OG, never say die. I love it. So, yeah, I don't know. Jimmy, expand on it. You probably have some other points to give besides the practical effects stuff, don't you? Or
Sure, for sure. I think one of the biggest things is back to the cast is that, I think they specifically picked a bunch of no-name people for the first one because of that, because they wanted the dinosaurs to be the stars. And the one thing, back to that Velociraptor scene where they're eating that bowl that gets put in there, the actors sell that scene. Because guess what it is? There's a bunch of people making weird noise down in that pen, shaking a bunch of ferns around. You see the look of horror on all their faces, especially like Jeff Goldblum, who's been this kind of snarky, kind of sarcastic guy the whole time. He's like, he's going on and on. He sees that and he's genuinely terrified. And you're like, there's a respect. There is power here.
Yeah,
we need to address
so
that.
I like what you're saying there. I also want to point out that I feel the writing in JP1 was more original, realistic, and well thought out. Some of the iconic lines from that movie, like, this place has power, even I recognize it, or whatever, stuff like that. There were some lines in that movie that I could go back and pick out and be like, that's what made this movie good.
Yeah, for sure. And the other great thing about that, too, is that they have ethical debates
Yeah.
about all of this. They have, like, two in particular that come into mind. The one where they're all eating kind of like a meal, and there's, like, these projectors on, and they're talking about, like...
Old school projectors.
Old school projectors,
like
and Jeff Goldblum's going
style.
off. And, like, the lawyer at this point is like, we're going to make, tons of money on this place. And he's kind of saying, like, it doesn't matter what price people will come. And they go to Sam Neill, who I absolutely love, playing Dr. Alan Grant. And he's a little more quiet about this, but they kind of like, you have John Hammond who's running the whole thing, and he's like, well, I brought you here. Like, what's your point? And, he's kind of, he loves the idea of it kind of, but he's also like, should we even do this? This is probably a bad idea because we don't know what's going to happen. We really don't know. And then later on when you have Laura Dern's character, Ellie Sattler, talking to John Hammond while they're eating ice cream that's, the power's out, so they have to eat some ice cream.
Yeah, I love those little intimate moments like that.
Yeah, and she's talking, and John Hammond's doing this really cool thing about talking about how he had a flea circus way back in the day, and it was just little, the fleas weren't there, but people would say they could see them, and that was basically what this was for him. It's just like the evolved version of it. And she's saying like, no, this is different. This is like, the fleas are real. Like, these dinosaurs are real, living, breathing creatures. There's no way we could know what they are capable of. And you couldn't either. You were just arrogant. You had this power, and you went with it anyway. And it's just a really cool idea, especially for someone who's kind of science-minded like myself, is like, not always can we do this, it's should we. So that's one thing that I love about this one, as opposed to this new Jurassic World where it's more like, can we weaponize the dinosaurs? Can we make them an attraction? Obviously, they're an attraction. And it was weird because they kind of sold this movie in the beginning like, the kids that were going there, there's the little boy and the teenage boy whose names I kind of forget. I don't care. But like the teenager guy, he's kind of like too cool for school. He's got like his phone out. He's like, dinosaurs aren't that cool anymore. But it would have been different if the park would have been kind of ailing and there wouldn't have been that many people there, because that would have kind of reinforced the whole like, dinosaurs aren't really that cool anymore, because he was like the only person there for a while who wasn't interested in the dinosaurs, because everyone else is like face against the glass, like, oh my gosh, it's a dinosaur, like it would always be, so that kind of, I thought that was kind of a lost point. And the other thing is too, Jurassic Park stands on its own. It's its own thing. This movie, like Star Wars The Force Awakens a little bit and some other ones like it, they can't stand alone. And this is a problem even with Civil War, Captain America Civil War, is that these movies are just like, especially Jurassic World, is like so much nostalgia is played upon. Like, they even go back to the original, like, visitor center in Jurassic Park in this movie. And it's like, for me, it's really cool, because I'm like, oh, that's really neat. But if you hadn't seen Jurassic Park, which maybe you hadn't, you see this movie and it's kind of like, all right, these kids are kind of like going around this place, and there's a Jeep that works inexplicably, and it's just like, they're walking around this place that means nothing to you. It's just like, this must have meant something sometime. That's what I like about Jurassic Park, is that it's its own thing. It doesn't have to do any callbacks or anything else. It's just like, this universe was made in one movie, whereas Jurassic World is kind of like a continuation of it, and it's not the best. And I will say this too, I think that the cast is okay, but I feel like they just kind of, they kept the same archetypes for most of the characters. Like, they have your John Hammond type, who this kind of like CEO billionaire who happened to be like the protege of John Hammond, and he kind of feels we spare no expense, and kind of stuff. And then you've got Chris Pratt, who is a combination of kind of Alan Grant and Muldoon, who was like that Velociraptor keeper or keeper of the park, the big game hunter guy, was super cool. And they're like, why don't we just take both those guys and smash them into one and just make Chris Pratt our cool, like, he's kind of sciencey, but he's got a knowledge of these creatures. And it's like, that's fine, but I don't know, man. It's just the other characters I don't think were that great or compelling, and it's just, it wasn't very serious. It didn't feel very serious to me, even though it was more big scale. They lost that intimate, scary stuff that was so great about the first one. So yeah, it's still a good movie, but it's nothing compared to the original. The original is probably like one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah, like the original, I can bust that one out on a rainy day and
any day.
Yeah, any day, and I'll watch that sucker start to finish without falling asleep for show. Bust out the popcorn.
So quotable too. I love that.
Yeah.
And the other thing is too, the sets and the fact that they did film on location, similar settings as they did to the first Jurassic Park and Jurassic World, but the sets in those old ones just feel so, I don't know, maybe I just love the movie and it's iconic or something, but it just feels so good, and they did such a good job of variations and stuff like that. And this one, it just kind of felt like, oh, we're in the big theme park and we kind of go in the jungle once in a while, but it didn't really, shift a ton. I don't know, Joe, if you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I'll expand on that. I actually, I think we're kind of getting to the end of our JP-JW comparison.
Sure.
But just to go over some major items of, why Jurassic World doesn't compare. And I won't go into why JP1, does fulfill these things, but this is just kind of a list off the internet, and I feel it actually identifies with a lot of the things you and I have discussed, not only in this podcast, but, just personally in conversation. So I credit to The Telegraph, who did this film, What Was Wrong with Jurassic World, the film. Number one, we don't see enough of the park. So this one I will compare to JP1, and you kind of talked about it a little bit there. Jurassic World, they do like some overview shots and stuff, but I feel like...
Wait, I'll say side note quick. The big reveal of the park is also where they use the big theme. It's like...
Yeah.
That part is wasted on the park. It's not wasted on a dinosaur. It's not a big reveal. The only thing it shows is the CG park that you don't get to see a lot of. Please continue, Joe.
Yeah. So basically, and they kind of do a little blurb about it, and I feel it's true. It's there's a tantalizing glimpse of the assets and how impressive Jurassic World is, but not nearly enough time soaking up the awe-inspiring sight of the dinosaurs. Kind of like when they're driving up in the Jeeps and they see the big, Brachiosaurus?
Yes, very good.
And a few other dinosaurs.
That part is just you saying that, Joe, gets me emotional.
Yeah,
it gets me emotional,
iconic.
And it just like that sound and everything, and the noise it makes, and they all just the actors again, nothing there sold that scene.
They did.
Whereas in this movie, didn't sell it as well. Keep going.
Yeah. So more of the park, please. And no, this does not mean the Samsung Innovation Center, although a Razzie for worst product placement surely looms. Well said. Because
sure.
in Jurassic World, there was a lot of product placement, and I'm a big detail-oriented person who always picks out the product placement. Starbucks was a big one in this one. Samsung, and of course Mercedes.
Well, there is also, I think the director, not that this excuses it, but he did say he wanted to talk about the over-commercialization and branding in a lot of movies, and that's kind of like what Jurassic World might need to keep going, is like to overdo it, or there's like, Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville there. But the worst one, I think, and I love that they do reference it in this movie, and it's a point for them, but they say like, the Indominus Rex brought to you by like Verizon Wireless or whatever, T-Mobile, and then you have like the nerdy guy just kind of hang his head and be like, oh, that's such a horrible thing to say. Like,
yeah. Well, like they sponsor the dinosaur, the funding for it. I kind of get that. And you know what? I don't get upset about product placement and advertising within the movie, because guess what? If you want to believe that it's real life, they got to show real product. And the fact that Starbucks was in there and Samsung and Mercedes and all that, it's real. You know,
Yeah, for
a
sure.
real life
You're
park
totally right.
would have those things, right? So I'm not upset about that. That doesn't really bug me too much. Like if I'm going to this theme park, I get there at 8 o'clock and it's opening at 8:30. You're damn right. I'm gonna get my Starbucks to start the day. I need a little caffeine to get through the day. You know.
You need caffeine at a park that has dinosaurs, Joe. Can't you just look at a dinosaur and that one? I'd get me amped.
Well,
I'd be like, oh, it's a dinosaur.
let me tell you, no matter, I wouldn't need the. I would be walking into the park already shaky and jittery without the caffeine, but. Let's just say I like to start off a good morning, excited morning with a little coffee, all right? I would do the same thing at Disney World. Anywho.
Yeah, fair enough.
We don't see enough women. Well,
let's see, there's like two.
Yeah, I'm not even going to get into that one because I don't even
fine.
agree with it. There are a lot of women in
I was going to say there's two in the first one, and then in this one there's kind of like one or two. So
yeah,
I guess
sure.
whatever.
One of them
Anyway,
is
keep
a main
going.
character. That's fine.
Not
Number
that we're
three.
saying we don't want equality. We do want
Number
equality.
3, Jimmy.
Anyway,
Running in heels.
yep, there it is.
Everybody picked this one out. I thought it was just me. But everybody brought up the question. Bryce Dallas Howard does her absolute best to make more of her role as an uptight female who will loosen up after kissing much nicer, chilled out alpha male. Unfortunately, she is gifted with the worst shoes possible for a dinosaur invasion. The stiletto heel.
Yeah, that's
So
that
true.
Whole thing.
Like, what did they make those things out of? Metal? I mean, they never broke. Apparently she
adamantium.
didn't get stuck in the dirt when she's running through the woods.
Yeah, she didn't.
Come on.
Anyways.
Redonkulous. Whatever.
Next point.
Next point. Claire's white suit gets more of a journey than Claire. How does it stay so clean?
I feel like we're focusing too much on Claire's outfit.
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but those are two big things that people are like, it makes no sense. Riddle me this. Health and safety. This is not the Victorian area, gentlemen. In order for Jurassic World to exist, it must have safety protocols up the wazoo.
Well, you know, Joe, if you lose a dinosaur in a
this.
pen, you could just open the gate up and send people in there.
Yeah, why not?
You know,
They're
just-
herbivores. They don't eat people.
I just don't know why
That's
they
like
wouldn't wait.
sending people into a freaking pen or enclosure with a freaking hippo.
The only thing I'll say is that I do know some people that would probably freak out and immediately try to send people in there to find that asset without thinking, like, why don't we just put some food out in the open and it'll eventually get hungry if it's still in there.
Exactly.
Like, I wouldn't open the gate ever. I'd be like, all right, check the entire park.
That had to have been the dumbest move ever.
Yeah, that whole thing is like, the other one makes more sense because you have Dennis Nedry, who's like a disgruntled employee that basically screws everybody over during like a storm, and he like ruins the entire park. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
Even though he's like this kind of, he steals some, DNA from dinosaurs that they misspelled, but it's all right.
Yeah. Whereas this one, there's some really stupid people that say, let's go in the pen with the most dangerous dinosaur we own.
Yeah, they need more security people on there who are just like, they're like, you're not going to want to do that. Just don't. I wouldn't do that.
Sir, it's in the employee handbook that you're not allowed to enter any enclosure with a dinosaur.
Why would you give, no offense to her or anyone, I don't think anybody should have the ability on that park, just they themselves, to say like, you can just send people in there, open the gate up, send people in there. Like, that's too much power at this park. Like, you should have some checks.
Yeah.
Like 3 or 4 people would be like, okay, you can send somebody in there, as opposed to being like, no, that's a bad idea.
If it wasn't in there, don't you think you would have heard about it by now? Like,
yeah, exactly. It'd be like, it's terrorizing the park.
Yeah.
There's like tons of people in there,
exactly.
thousands.
So bad safety protocol. They should have left the gate shut and waited, or surveyed the exterior to see if it was out, not go looking inside where it is likely to be.
Look at the claw marks on the wall. Did they get to the top? They don't. I just run out right away. I'd be like, you know what? That's right. They can make these beautiful dinosaurs, Joe. These creations that are just ungodly, but they can't figure out how to keep them penned up.
Apparently, what a bunch of idiots. So
Put a
anyway,
freaking
security
ceiling on there.
protocols up the wazoo.
Yeah.
So, needless to say, an insurance company insuring this freaking park,
Gosh,
they would be
never
like,
happen.
they would be like, yeah, so we want to develop these gyrospheres where anybody of the age of 16 and up can drive it around an enclosure with a bunch of herbivores that are twice the size of this thing. Yeah, we're not gonna let you do that.
Yeah, that's especially there'd be some jerks out there that like potentially, or they would on purpose. They'd run into a bunch of it, like poor dinosaurs. They'd be like, watch me, we're gonna run into this, like bumper cars with dinosaurs.
And it's a freaking sphere. You even see during the movie they freaking bat it around like a ping pong ball, or in what do they call that game? Foosball.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, what a stupid idea. Oh, and then they show the one where you can canoe next to the dinosaurs in the river. That was probably the dumbest one ever. I mean,
in their right mind, even in the first place, is like, this is a good, like, you know, if it's like, oh, hey, let's take the kids out, honey. Like, what should we do first? Should we do the gyrosphere? Maybe we should go see the Mosasaurus show. Hey, I got an idea. Let's all get in a canoe and paddle down the river next to a couple of brachiosauruses. It's like, no, like, you don't know what's in that river.
Oh, hey, look, that one has a young one. Why does it look so angry? Oh my God!
Oh, could there be a Mosasaurus in this river? We don't know. I don't care what the disgruntled 18-year-old who works at the river rafting rental station says, that there aren't any in that river. I can't trust him, or her.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
You know, it'd be one thing if they were going through a herbivore kind of, pen preserve in an open field or whatever, and you're up on like a train or a tram that kind of goes over top of them.
Yeah,
that
like
makes
a monorail.
Sense. A monorail.
Like they had that in there too, but they just didn't. It just takes you to the park.
Yeah.
It's like that's what they do at other zoos.
Here,
and
it's
stuff.
like they let you interact with them or drive something by yourself, and there's no automatic recall or anything like that. It's like, oh, one didn't come back. We're gonna have to go retrieve them.
Yeah,
give me a break.
I'll get my gyrosphere and go get them.
People, whoever came up with those ideas needs to be shot. I'm sorry if you're listening.
It's confusing though, Joe, because like they even have a bunch of tourists in like a truck with those Gallimimus, and you're like, they're going around without gyrospheres, so it's like, so that's like a different enclosure for that, and you can just like ride in a truck.
Just
it's
whatever.
Like, what the heck?
Okay,
even that would be better. Though,
here's another one: the petting zoo with the little baby animals.
See, that doesn't bother me because we kind of have that already.
Yeah, well,
a little bit.
PETA would have had to shut the place down.
Yeah,
small children are ghastly when on Shetland ponies, let alone an adorable baby Triceratops.
Did you make that up yourself?
Yep.
That's real good. That's true. Yeah, they wouldn't be. But it teaches them a respect for the animals. And that's the only one that people were like, oh, that doesn't make sense to me. I thought it was kind of heartwarming. I'm like, that kind of makes sense. But it wasn't like they're playing with baby velociraptors. It's like, well, if the velociraptors play with the children when they're young, when they grow up, they won't have a taste for them or whatever. It's like, I wouldn't use that logic.
Jurassic World literally jumps the shark. How did they catch a great white shark for the mosasaur to snack on? And why was it so badly animated? Did they run out of budget money? Ugh. In homage to Spielberg's Jaws, it looks more like a clip from Jaws 3. And aren't great white sharks extremely endangered?
Yeah, that's very true. All of that's quite true.
Let's feed them sharks. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that America is against killing sharks. Unless you're, in an Asian country. I know Japan, shark fin soup, or China.
I assume that was maybe one of their other business affiliates who provides the sharks.
Yeah, whatever. That was weird to me too. Yeah, whatever. They should have fed it cows or something. We produce enough beef.
That'd be really sad to show like a cow from like hanging from its hooves.
Okay, so yeah.
Jeez.
That would have been better in my mind. I don't know why they fed it a shark. But anyway, so the Mosasaurus nod for number 7, number 8. And then it jumps again.
Yep.
Part 2, Mosasaur.
And then part 3, because it has another move. They overused it. And that thing is so cool, but it would have been way better to be honest, I think seeing less of it would have been cooler. Like if they would have been like on a river or had to go out in there and it was like really dark and you didn't know where it was, I think that would be terrifying. Like the Spinosaurus in the river, Jurassic Park 3, really cool stuff.
God, I can't imagine what it would take to build a freaking aquatic enclosure that big.
Yeah, just in general.
Ugh. Now this one you'll have to help me with. Number 9, the Apatosaurus death scene.
Oh my gosh, it's so stupid. It's the only time they actually use animatronics in the whole thing. There's a part in the movie. Yeah. Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard find a whole bunch of Apatosauruses that were just basically killed by the Indominus Rex for no reason. It's just killing for sport. And they hold this poor thing, like the head of it, which is just the head of it, because the rest of it's CGI, and it dies like in their arms, and it's just like completely out of nowhere. It's really depressing, and it doesn't really have a place in the whole thing. They just wanted to put one animatronic creature in there, and they decided to use like 2 feet of Apatosaurus neck and head.
Yeah, so,
really stupid, out of place.
Let's see
Good
this.
cut it.
That dinosaur chewed more scenery than the Royal Shakespeare Company on press night. Number 10, evil and strangely incompetent security chiefs.
Yes, for sure. That I don't know what's up with that. He's like, we can sell these for the government. It's real dumb. Let's let out all. I don't understand the whole like. There's one dinosaur that got out. Let's let out 4 velociraptors, and that'll probably help. Like,
yeah. So Hoskins, who was that? Was Hoskins?
He's the bad. I think he's the bad guy. Vincent D'Onofrio, the Kingpin.
Yeah,
I think that's who it is.
It's like they say here. Jurassic World's head of security will be sighing and going, well, this is even worse for us than Paul Blart Mall Cop.
Yeah.
Hoskins is an idiot with distractingly white teeth. Presumably, this is how he has managed to disguise the fact that he genuinely thinks velociraptors would be sensible addition to the U.S. Army.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That
well
is
put,
right.
Well put. He's an idiot.
Just drop a few velociraptors in there.
And what the hell is number 11? What the hell is Owen training the Raptors for?
That's very
Anyone?
good.
Anyone at all?
That's actually a really good question. It's one of those things where it's so cool that you don't think to ask a question about it until like now, and you're like, yeah, what, like, so you can like walk around with them and be like, yeah, they're perfectly tame. Like,
yeah,
it's like no, they're not.
Like, what the freaking crap? Yeah, because it's not like he was contracted by the military right off the bat to do that, or maybe he was.
I don't think he's with the military at all. I think he's just with the park.
Yeah, but were they contracted to train? Yeah, whatever.
Maybe it was one of those things where it's kind of like a trainer at a zoo where they kind of like want to establish a rapport, and it's easier if the kind of the creature or the animal obeys and listens to them. But maybe he like it doesn't seem like he's teaching them to like go in their pen correctly. It seems like he's kind of like, oh, I'm going to teach them how to sit. I'm going to teach them how to like shake. It seems like more like that.
Either way, I was so over that. Come on. Just put them in a pen, throw cows in there for food once in a while. Let's see them do crazy shit. Ugh.
Yeah.
Indominus controlling the velociraptors. How can this brand new species of dinosaur communicate with the raptors? Have they watched How to Train Your Dragon? Even if the Indominus Rex is part raptor, would that not be a bit like French and like being French and being confronted with a Spaniard? If you brought up a duck in complete isolation, would it know how to speak to other ducks?
Excellent questions.
These
are the questions.
I don't know. That's a good point. And I thought it was kind of dumb myself. I mean, it was okay. I wasn't too burnt on that one, but
I thought the initial reveal was kind of interesting because I was like, oh, that makes sense, and that's kind of like a gasp, slightly gasp.
Yeah,
like,
and it was part raptor, and they were kind of keeping that a secret. That was okay with me. I don't really consider that one on the top 15 bad things.
Well, yeah. But after that, it's kind of like, what else is it part? Like later on, it's like part Mosasaurus, and like it goes over to like the watery edge, and it's like, and the Mosasaurus like, and they're like, oh, it's communicating with all the animals. It's parts of all of them, and then it's like part human or something. You know what I mean? It's like it's getting out of hand. Getting out of hand. Sorry.
Yeah. So number 13, that idiot teenager. Zach is 16, yet just stares at girls. This would have passed no problem in the 80s, but modern teenagers are actually quite articulate. What?
This is weird. I think this is written by teenagers.
Yeah, I think this is written by a dumbass. Anyway, if he grows up to be a serial killer, we will know why. I don't know. Maybe he's turning around here. Rather than tell him to do one, the girls just giggle as though they've fallen out of an episode of Baywatch. Okay, whatever.
To do one what?
Whatever, that was a bad one.
Yeah, anyway.
13 sucked. 14, that Jeep resurrection.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
However impressive Zach's car whispering may be, you can't repair a car that's been in a shed for
You can't repair a Jeep like that if it's been there like overnight. You can't do it overnight for something that's been there for like 20 years.
Oh, okay.
Basically,
it's just written really weird. I apologize, people. I'm normally
you can paraphrase, Joe, if you want.
Yeah, but it says, yeah, you can't repair a Jeep that's been in a shed for over 20 years in just a half an hour. Tires would have been rotted out, flat, etc. Yeah. Yep.
But they're in-gen tires. In-gen everything. I'm just kidding. That's not true at all.
Although I was fine with it that they resurrected it. I didn't really mind it too much, but yeah, it's not very practical that it would be in working condition. So that's true. Terrible relationship advice. Putting your children on a plane to go stay with your sister for a week or something. Whatever. Okay, stupid.
Yeah,
God,
there's
come
that whole
on, guys.
subplot
Come
of the
up with better ones
divorce.
than this.
Yeah, it's okay. This is more of our thing, Joe. More of what we like.
That's
and what we
fine,
don't.
but okay. There were a few that we picked out so far, and then these last two are perfect for what we've been saying. The T-Rex nodded at the Velociraptors at the end. What
Yeah, I would
the
never do that.
hell?
I guess it's like mutual respect because they like.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, sure,
helped,
sure.
But still,
This
like, he's
isn't a
like, "I
war
killed
film,
them."
Jimmy.
Yeah, I know, but at the end of Jurassic Park, he kills like 3 of them or whatever. It's not like the T-Rex is like, I have fonder memories of my time with the Velociraptors. It's like, no, I think a few of your ancestors or whatever tried to rip me apart, so I took them down. Yeah,
So
that whole
stupid.
scene.
Yeah,
It gets out of
nodded
hand.
at him like, good job, boys. Thank you.
How hungry is that Mosasaurus? I feel bad for the Indominus Rex, by the way. I think the Indominus Rex is not the villain.
No, not at all. It was the
Poor thing.
humans, obviously. I feel
Humans are the worst.
bad for it too. I
Worst.
feel
They're
bad
the
for that
worst.
shark that the Mosasaurus ate. It's bullshit.
I feel bad for everything in that film except the humans. Like, if they all died, I probably would have been like, good movie. Like,
Although I want a real life Jurassic World. I'd go.
I do too.
I
I
go.
would too. I would try to work there and try to respect the dinosaurs.
I'd train the Velociraptors. Wait, no, I'd train the T-Rex.
I wouldn't train any of them because I don't want to train a dinosaur. Because
Come on, Jimmy.
I don't
You've
think it's
seen
gonna
How
work.
to Train a Dragon, right?
it's dragons, man. Different.
Different, yeah.
Dinosaurs can't be really tamed and trained.
Yeah, so...
think.
And then the T-Rex roared on top of the helipad. I didn't have a problem with it. What about
It's
you?
fine. It's a little bit reminiscent too much of obviously the first Jurassic Park and Jurassic Park 2 Lost World where it kind of roars at San Diego. It's fine.
Yeah. Well,
I don't know. It's just the money shot at the end.
Jimmy, that kind of concludes it for me. I feel like we talked a lot about it, and you know what? It kind of inspires me to buy Jurassic World. Obviously, I own.
Yeah, I might watch
Jurassic
it tonight
Park
actually.
1,
Which,
but
Joe, we should both watch it, and then one of these days when we kind of group back up, I would love to start doing these commentaries with you where we watch it, and it might be pretty quiet, but we like record our thoughts about it, and then we could just put it on here for people to kind of, if they want to watch it again. And they don't necessarily want to hear all that. They want to hear our thoughts on it, which you've heard many, but you could hear very specific thoughts. That would be kind of fun, I think.
yeah, I would. I agree. We should do something like that. I think that'd be fun.
Sweet. So,
But needless to say, critical reviews. We were being very critical. I did enjoy Jurassic World, but still, JP1 top tier, baby.
yeah, I was going to say the official stance for the people here at Critical Reviews is that Jurassic Park 1, just Jurassic Park, not Jurassic Park 1, just Jurassic Park, is the best one of them all. I'd say Jurassic World might be a second kind of runner-up. For me, it goes that one, Jurassic World, then Jurassic Park 3, and then Lost World is at the very end.
Oh.
Personally.
Yeah, I agree with
Yeah.
that. I agree with that, for sure.
I really wish they would have gotten Sam Neill back for this one because I don't know what he would have done, even if it would have been a cameo. I just love Alan Grant, but it would have been great if he would have been walking around that park like, this is a bad idea. It's a bad idea. He's just shaking his head like it's a bad idea. Like, you paid to get in here. And he's like, I know, and I took a boat. Anyway, so that's our thoughts on Jurassic Park versus Jurassic World, old versus new. And we'll do another one of these if you guys like it. If you want to do, like, we're thinking maybe doing Lord of the Rings versus Hobbit, stuff like that.
we're gonna
Or,
have
Star
to.
Wars, eventually, all that stuff too. But now we're going to go into this last little quick segment called Time Killers. So, Time Killers, what the things we're playing, we're watching, all that stuff, what we're excited about. Anything, Joe, that comes to mind right off the bat? Is there, any movie, game, anything you're excited about watching right now?
Just Overwatch. My withdrawals.
Overwatch. Ooh.
My withdrawals, man, they're getting. Oh God, bad.
I got the shakes.
I've got the shakes. I haven't slept in a week or two. Oh
Blizzard.
God, it's bad. But
I'm glad you're so excited.
no, really, it's been kind of a slump for me. I mean, until Overwatch comes back out, I really haven't been into anything new per se. I have been watching on Netflix. I don't know if anybody watches that Scream television series on MTV. Kind of a bit of a teen drama, so it's kind of cheesy and dumb. But I appreciate a bit of a murder mystery horror aspect, and they do an okay job of that. And there's some pretty gruesome murders. I'm not sick. I'm not screwed up in the head, I swear. I'm not a serial killer. I just appreciate
That's what a serial killer would say. Sorry.
Shut up, Jimmy. Anyway, yeah, but not much new on my horizon. How about you, pal?
So I've been watching this anime on Netflix called Ald Noah Zero, and it's pretty good. It's by the same group that did the Sword Art Online, I believe, anime. And right now there's 2 seasons on Netflix. It's like 24 episodes altogether, so 12 a season. But it's about these 2 warring factions, if you will, the Terrans, which are just regular people on Earth, and then the Martians, which are descendants from the Terrans. And this kind of conflict arises when this princess from the Martians goes down to Earth to do like a peace accord with the Terrans and be like, why are we shouldn't be fighting and squabbling, we should be working together as just like people, just human beings. There's an assassination attempt on her life that is supposedly by the Terrans, which sets off a huge war between both factions, even though it was one that was done by the Martians, believe it or not. There's an old knighthood, a feudal lord system up with the Martians. It's kind of archaic in that way. But it's really cool, and the one thing that does bother me slightly, but it's actually kind of cool at the same time, is that it's all really well hand-drawn, and the explosions and everything is just gorgeous. But the things they fight in are mech suits, and they are CGI, and that can be a little weird from when you're going for this beautiful hand-drawn stuff to these CGI bits. But still really great show. I highly recommend it if you have a shot. Again, it's Ald Noah Zero. And yeah, just let me know what you think about it. It's been really good to me. It's so good.
Cool. Yeah,
So-
I've never really got into anime too much myself, but people really rave about it. I suppose one day I'll have to look into it.
Well, the thing is, I'm a very I love things in the art world that are just very eye-catching and beautiful, and that's what anime usually is. It's just like a moving picture, like those old Disney cartoons to some extent, but some of the stuff is so fast-paced and beautiful and crazy, and the storylines can be very engrossing and things like that. And that's stuff I'm really drawn to, is these kind of newer animes that just look so crisp, like just HD gorgeousness, like explosions that just blow your mind. You're like, oh my gosh, like it just looks beautiful, but it also has a really good story to it. So check that out. And I've also been watching Canterbury of the Iron Fortress, Cabaneri or something like that. It's an anime that's exclusive to Amazon Prime members that is about a zombie apocalypse, which I'm totally over, but there are some individuals who get bitten and they do something to make sure that they don't transform, and so they get like increased strength and agility and all this stuff, and they basically are on this train right now in the show that is trying to get to this like safe place, and it's all like them fighting off these other crazy zombies and stuff like that, and it's really actually pretty interesting, and it looks really good too. So another one. I love my animes. I do. And obviously X-Men and Overwatch coming down the pipeline next week. Oh my goodness, 2 reviews coming in, guys, whenever I get done with them. So
for people who have not played Overwatch or not checked it out yet, do it. You won't regret it. And
you won't. If you like first-person shooters, if you don't like first-person shooters, if you like Blizzard, if you hate Blizzard, get the game.
Hey man,
please.
Plus they're coming out with a lot of background story on these characters and stuff. There's a big storyline, going on that you don't quite realize by just playing the game. And they're coming out with a little bit of a short film.
Yeah, they actually have made a few short films for some of the characters. They had an intro cinematic which featured Tracer, Winston, Reaper, and Widowmaker, which are all characters in there. They had another one with Tracer and Widowmaker again. They had one with Genji and Hanzo. These are all characters. They're just names if you don't know them, but there's like samurais and like ninjas and like people with time travel kind of capabilities and like a wraith type guy with shotguns and like a gorilla and like all this stuff. It sounds insane, looks beautiful, and it's really interesting to see this kind of backstory stuff that probably wouldn't be in the game or another game like it that you'd have to kind of go find elsewhere. I'm hoping that they include some of this information in the full release of the game, because if you want to find out this information about your favorite character, you have to kind of go online and research them, which isn't as fun as if you could just pull up a little bio next to their name. So hopefully they'll patch that in. I don't know. But it's all like high. It's like it makes Pixar look like I don't know. It's as good as Pixar animation, these little shorts, but maybe better. I don't know. It's so good. It's so good. Wouldn't you say, Joe?
Mm-hmm. Definitely high quality. And I'm not normally one for these more cartoony feeling things, but Overwatch has hit it out of the park, and they've even got my attention. So regardless if you think you may be uninterested, I guarantee this will sway you in the other direction. So check it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, that is the show, I think, for today. There you go. We're talking about all those things. We got Assassin's Creed, Predator, and obviously old versus new with Jurassic Park and Jurassic World. I'd like to thank Joe for hanging out with me.
Your podcast compadre.
My podcast.
Don't call me by my real name.
Compadre. And if you're interested in following me and my exploits on Twitter, you can find me at GoCritical. It's a capital G and a capital C in there, all one word. And if you're interested in following me on Twitch, it's just Jimmy_good with a capital J and a capital G.
And you gotta follow him on Twitch, because me, Jimmy, and our buddy Drew, we're always on there gaming it up with all the latest and greatest. So it's
for sure.
A fun
Especially
time.
It'll be Overwatch heavy next week. Like, it's gonna be ridiculous. But Joe, also Instagram, we're I believe at GoCritical as well. Anyway, Joe, where can people follow you?
Yeah, definitely check me out on Twitter. Always sharing all the good critical reviews, goodies. So that's at lever_627, and that's lever just like beaver, only with an L. Easiest way to explain it. Continue laughing. Yes, I get it. And then follow me on Instagram. I share a lot on there too. More personal there, but I try to share all of Jimmy's goodness, and no pun intended, Jimmy.
It's the first time I've ever heard that one.
And there, that's pretty much the same thing, only it's lever. It's lever627, no underscore. So,
I thought your Twitter was Lever J.
I am sorry. Oh my gosh.
Because I screwed that up one of the last times you said that, and I looked down, I'm like, I think I've just been doing Lever_627, but it's Lever J_627.
No, Jimmy, you're right. It's Lever_627. If I put a J in there, I apologize, people. Lever_627. Check it, and it's Lever627 for Instagram. So check me out, and check Jimmy out as well. We share a lot of good stuff on there, and worthwhile.
Yes.
We also like hearing all your comments and feedback. So.
Oh, for sure. I was going to get to that. I wanted to first thank Jorn Evers once again for our beautiful picture. You are great, Jorn. I hope you're listening to this one day, and I'm so excited to see where you go.
You're the man, Jorn.
You're just a talented individual. We could go on and on about him. That's a whole podcast.
My self-portrait.
Still waiting on the I talked to him recently. I talked to him today or yesterday, and he's like, I haven't been able to listen to the last few. And I was like, oh, he's going to hear. He might listen to these pretty quickly, maybe, and he's going to be like, oh man, I better do something.
Nah,
you don't have to.
No pressure. He
pressure.
He already did that cool artwork for you, and it's amazing. I admire that. He's got some skills for show.
For sure. And then I'd like to also thank This Is Daleb, who went out of his way. He's a busy guy to make our intro-outro song, which I would not have been able to do otherwise. And it's very cool, and I love it. And it's just so... Oh, it's great.
Yeah, I've never commented on it, Jimmy, but you sent it to me initially, and I told you I liked it, but I need to reiterate that and make it public. I mean, that was spot on. Perfect, and what we were looking for in every way. Perfect for our podcast, and man... I'm pumped on that.
Yeah, me too. Well, I'm excited because I'm going to try to do my best to promote this. And if you guys have any way to do that, if you really enjoy this, obviously follow us on all those things, subscribe to the channel, give us a thumbs up, and share it with your friends and stuff, because the word of mouth, that's the biggest thing on here. There's a bajillion different podcasts, but if you find one that you like, and if this happens to be one of those, and people who listen to other ones that you like, feel free to let them know about us, because we do this for fun, and we do this obviously to educate a little and obviously spew our opinions, for sure. But thank you for everyone who tunes in. You mean the world to us. We wouldn't be doing this without you guys, because this is that's the thing. So
yeah,
thank you so much, and feel free to comment and all that stuff, and tweet at us and do all that, and let us know what you think of it, if we can improve in any way, or if there's some things you want us to cover. If you're like, man, I really want them to talk about like this franchise, even if we don't know about it, we'll learn about it, and we'll...
Yeah, and Jimmy, that is so true, and you're hitting every point on the head. I feel like the more you guys give us feedback and kind of, talk with us and tell us what you want or what your thoughts were on what we discussed, whether you disagree, agree, or you have more thoughts to add. We want to see that stuff. It's more talking points for us, and other people out there listening probably want to see that as well. So we appreciate that tenfold. I think that's great if you guys can get involved with these.
Yeah, definitely. And another thing, too, is that a lot of podcasts do this, but kind of doing like a question segment at one point, if it's at the beginning of it, if it's at the end of it or whatever. I would love to do that, where I've seen a few here and there, but if you guys want that, I can definitely do that. Just be like, Jimmy, put this in your question segment. And even if it's just one to start out with, that'd be fun, because if it's just like, something that sparks an idea for us to do an entire podcast on, that'd be great. Or we might just be able to answer it pretty quickly. Just be like, hey, like, what do you think of rumors about this thing? And we could go into that. So
yeah, that'd be so awesome.
Excellent.
Oh, yeah, I'd love that if we did like question segments, or even, if we could get enough attention, do a live tweet session or something, or answer Twitter questions. That would be fun too. So hit us up through any media avenue. We like to keep up on that stuff. So send us your feedback.
Yes. Well, again, thank you to everyone who's contributed to making this a possibility. And, again, thank you so much for spending 2 hours with us. Oh, my gosh, it goes by so fast.
Wow, this might be a record, Jimmy.
We're getting close, for sure. As the guy who edits these, I'm definitely, I can tell you we are at that point.
Yeah, this one's going to take you a while to edit, my friend.
We'll see. Hopefully it'll be up by, the Friday after. We record these on Tuesday, so I try to put them up on the Friday or Saturday after. So
always up for your weekend enjoyment.
Exactly. Well, again, thank you to everybody, and we will see you next time, or at least you'll hear us next time or whatnot. So everybody, you take it easy, all right?